Let's pray. God, thank you for talents and gifts you give each of us to work in various capacities. Thank you for our staff and the work they do each week to keep our town running smoothly, efficiently. Thank you for the citizens who we serve, and thank you for each of us who you've gifted with the opportunity to serve and vote on things of importance. Give us wisdom tonight, we pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We'll call the meeting to order. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving and a safe one. So we don't have any public comments tonight, but we do officially want to introduce our new engineer, Mr. Kevin Parker, KP. He worked here before, and so he's back. So welcome back. I think you've met everybody up here. Oh, except for Stephen.
Yeah, we've met over the phone, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Pleasure to formally meet you.
All right.
I've already thrown him under the bus.
You can
So-
use the podium for your welcome speech.
I hold that.
No, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm excited to be back and good to see everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you, KP. All righty, we got the agenda in front of you, so any additions, deletions, change of order? If not, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Ayers, second by Heather. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. All right, so first up is rezoning 22.09.01 Blenheim Lane. I'll open the public hearing. And what's the wish of the council?
Mayor, just a suggestion. I know these folks drove up from Greenville, and I thank you for that, but we created a zoning category, I think, just for this purpose. So I don't see a need for a presentation unless you have some new information. I'll make if there are no public comments, we could close it. I'll make a motion to approve, if you guys agree.
I'm fine with that.
Okay,
Concur.
all right.
Close the public hearing.
Y'all okay?
If you really feel like you need to speak,
You got a long drive home, I'm sure, but
All
yeah.
right.
Mayor, could you officially open the public hearing, please?
I did.
Oh, perfect, thank
Yeah, I
you.
did that. I remembered. And then, so I'll close the public hearing. And so what's the pleasure of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve RZ 22.09.01 Blenheim Lane.
second.
Motion by Mr. Richardson, second by Mr. Shoal. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. All right, thank you, gentlemen. All right,
Statement of, yeah.
you too.
You too.
So yes, you still have to do the statement of consistency.
Yep. Let me get it here. All righty.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve this statement of consistency because the rezoning petition promotes the health, safety, and welfare of the area on Blenheim Lane.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Richardson, second by Mr. Shoal. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. All righty. Thank you, Max, for putting all this together.
Yeah, of course.
Next up is rezoning 22.09.02. I'll open the public hearing, and the applicant has asked us to delay it till December 12th. So we'll just keep the public hearing open and then put it on the December 12th agenda. Anybody has any questions, between now and then, Max, I'm sure can answer them.
I can definitely do that. Thank you.
Now, it wasn't in the packet. Is there something, are you going to send it out? I mean, it'll be in the next packet.
It will definitely be in the next packet. And I can send it out beforehand if you'd like. It's already ready.
But if anybody has any questions, just.
Okay. Yeah,
This
just
is
let me
the
know.
one that we pretty much have already talked about to some extent, right?
I'm sorry?
We've already kind of talked about it, right?
The second rezoning, the
Yes.
SFR, MU2. I don't remember talking
not
about
talked
it with council,
I don't remember this one.
but they did go to planning board and,
I've seen it.
yeah.
I thought this was the one where they're building the new age restricted. Is that not it? Oh, it's
This
not.
is the
Okay.
dentist office next to
Okay, okay.
South School.
Just let me know if you have any questions. Give me a call.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a dentist office next to,
You know, Dr. Dents, I think it's Densovich, that's in the shopping
yeah,
center.
he wants to move.
He wants to build his own building and
Oh, yeah, between the Harris Teeter and South, and Southstone, yeah. I was telling Alex, Years ago, that property, somebody came to us wanting to build an office complex.
Yep.
And they haven't done anything about it. I don't know, I can't remember who it was, but,
I remember that.
yeah, so I don't
So it's
know.
finally coming.
Okay, well, good.
You know John DeCristo?
No.
Oh, lives in the neighborhood.
Just for y'all, just want to let y'all know, like, all of our appointments now that we've had have all been at the hospital down here, at the, what is it, the Tower One or something like that there. So, pretty much anything, and everything that you could want,
Is it there?
they've got people in there.
All right.
So,
You use one of them?
yeah, several, actually, 3,
Okay.
so.
All righty. Hey, Eunice.
Hey.
All righty, next up is the continuing conversation about the maintenance position. So appreciate all the information, so take it away.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I really just appreciate y'all having me back and welcome me to continue the conversation about this maintenance position. I know it's a little fast, getting all the information back to you guys, but I think it's really important to know that this is something that we have been looking at and wanting to do, and all the questions that y'all have asked last time are super relevant, and I believe that we have everything in place. I just wanted to present that information to you guys, and we as a department have been working together to get that to y'all. So that's pretty much what I have for you today. So I love to just talk you guys through it, kind of fill you into my brain space, and kind of dive deeper into what this maintenance position would be. So first off, I just want to touch back with you guys on some of the feedback that I received on November 14th. So I put that into 3 bullets: the supervisory need, the cost, and also what the public works versus the Parks and Recreation, what they do on a daily basis. So just to reference what we are looking to do as a department is we have a current maintenance technician already budgeted, and we're looking just to move them up into a different pay grade scale to get that higher skill set that we're seeking. So the first kind of question y'all had, like, what is the need for this supervisor? So the main goal of this whole entire transition would to be to elevate the skill set that we are receiving back from the feedback of the current application. So with that being said, I felt like the supervisor title maybe wasn't what we needed to be with such a small department. And after hearing what y'all's thoughts were about that, transition it into a senior maintenance technician instead of more of a supervisor, and they would still report to me. They would still hit the ground running. This is not going to be a keyboard warrior. They will not be in the office. They will be on the grounds every day working on these projects and still doing tasks with our current maintenance team. Also, instead of a pay grade scale 18 like previously asked for, we'll bump it down to a 17 as well, because they will not be a supervisor. It will just be a senior maintenance technician for our department. So the next thing I kind of want to touch you guys on is the cost. So these were just 3 things that really stood out to us as a department that we are looking to really dive into. So that is our splash pad operations. I know that was brought up the last council meeting, the bathroom renovations, and the disc golf course renovations. So currently we work with the Fountain Division, and what they do is they help us start our splash pad, they help us turn it off, and they're pretty much who we call on a need basis as of right now. But to outsource them and putting the liability in their hands, having them come out during the season, that just starts at $18,000 a year. That does not include chemical ordering. That does not include everyday maintenance. That does not include them coming out every single day. They would only come out once a week to check on this thing. So that still puts the toll on our maintenance staff to check it, to backwash it, to log it. And if something were to happen, we wouldn't be able to touch it. We would have to stop doing anything to it, and we would have to wait on this company to come out because the liability would fall in their hands now. So the splash pad could be out for X amount of days. And again, like I said, our maintenance technicians would still have to help out for the splash pad. We're not just scratching our hands from this. And then if we take it in-house, like it already is, it's $390 for a certification to run the splash pad, and we already have the knowledge to do it. We're just looking for that higher skill set to help us, with these troubleshooting issues. And the certification lasts for 5 years. And I just want to put a side note, is this is a certification we all just renewed within our department. So it's going to be good for, 2027. Next is the bathroom renovations. I wanted to touch on that because, as you know, Joyce Rupert, she came in a few months ago. That was something that she really voiced. She is a citizen in Stallings, that she wanted to see these things elevated. So this is stuff that we've already been doing research on as a department. To outsource this, you're looking at 8 to 10 grand per restroom with the need that they are in. The walls need to be painted, they need to be resurfaced. You know, think about all the kids that are running in there wet over the summer. I mean, it's essentially like a pool restroom if you really think about it. The facilities need to be replaced. Think of sinks, toilets, the hand dryers, you know, toilet roll dispensers, all that would need to be scrapped and redone. However, if we did a basic renovation in-house, you're looking at about 3 grand per restroom. And then also keep in mind, this would be on our timeline. If we outsource this, we're closing the shelters down for who knows how long. We're having to tell people they can't rent it, so they'd close it for essentially just a season. We would not know an exact date. And lastly, the disc golf renovations. This is something that we as a department really see the need to be fixed as soon as possible. And the Disc Golf Association, they actually have this whole plan together, and they roughly estimate about $3,500 per 9 holes to do a renovation. With the state that ours is in, this is going to be a very minimal number. It would be a lot higher than that. However, if we were to do it in-house, it'll cost about 2 grand per 9 holes. And that is, you know, we have the Mini X already. We could get the concrete out. We could replace the concrete, do the signage ourselves, dig holes, cement those in. So that's where you're getting those numbers from. So what I wanted to go ahead and do for you guys is put those costs beside each other so you could really see what they are together. And for the splash pad operation, keep in mind that's a base minimum, which is to me, a little high of a cost. And then also the bathroom renovations, that is accounting for just the bathrooms at Stallings Municipal Park. And the disc golf course, that's accounting for the whole 18-hole course. And what I did is I went ahead and put that higher skilled employee, the addition of what that would look like for next year's budget ahead in the in-house cost, just so you guys could see that as well. And you're looking at a savings of a little over $25,000. And just keep in mind, these are just 3 projects that we're looking at now. There's going to be future projects that we work on. And if Marcia, if you'd like to touch base on how this would affect next year's budget. Sure. Just so you guys know, I think it would be helpful.
Just quickly, I mean, running the numbers, the actual, this year's budgeted salaries is, and this doesn't include fringe and everything, because $1 for one employee is really the same as another in that group. We had budgeted for salaries $288,000, and I added up the cost of the new person, Tori, coming in, and considered where Eunice was at. And then there's a full-time position there for the maintenance of $35,000 a year. But and adding all that up, I came up to $277,000. Including the 35. So I thought, you know, if I added the 11 to it, I could take the salary of the full-time partner or the maintenance person up to about very close to 50,000 and not change the budget at all, you know. But you know, that's looking at dollars for dollars. And if we go a little higher than that, obviously a few $1,000s, it won't. You know, the town has the money to do that, but truly, there's not going to be much of an impact on the salary line for the overall cost for the employee, because we already have that position, you know, in there, and there's savings in other departments too. So, and there will be a savings this year of some cash, because we haven't had those positions filled. So there's about $12,000 this year in savings just from that piece too.
Yeah, so what did you say the budget range was for this, for the currently open position?
So what it is currently as stands today. So the pay grade scale is 13, and that's ranging from a minimum of 38 to a high of 57.
Okay, and so, and I think the mayor and myself were discussing this a little bit. I mean, and that's the position we have not been able to find somebody in.
Yes, sir.
And we're advertising it up to 57,000?
Yes, sir.
So it'll be about 10. If you go to 57, you'll need about $10,000. I mean, if you went beyond the 57, you'd need about 10.
Okay, I guess what I was just trying to establish is that it seemed like with the last meeting, we weren't able to find somebody. So, because there was nobody kind of willing to come in at that cost. But, I mean, are we advertising at 57 and we can't find people?
Well, that's at the very end of a hiring range, and if we're being honest, we wouldn't hire somebody in at the very end of that. So that's why, I'm not saying if we bump this up, we could very much well get somebody for that. But obviously, as we're seeing, as people are looking at that and not taking any interest, probably assuming that they're not gonna get that.
Well, that's not the 17 range, is it?
No,
57?
sir,
What's
that's the pay grade scale of 13.
Yeah, what's the 17?
The 17, it starts at 47 and goes to 69.
So, so one last question. So in general, I mean, what are we really looking to want to pay this person when they come in?
Realistically, I believe we could get someone between 55 and 60. I just think with where the grade scale stands now, we're not getting that interest.
Questions? David?
13 to 17 is a pretty big jump. What's the range between 14 and 15 and then 16? I mean, let's not go through that now, but it seems like it's a big jump that maybe one of the next grade, 14 or 15, would cover it rather than all the way up to 17. But the real question I had was a little bit earlier, two questions. Marcia, you probably know this best. What does the splash pad cost in total to operate in an entire year? Chemicals, service, the works?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Probably not, but do you have any way of pulling those numbers?
Looking at I could probably get down to chemicals and the cost of the consultant that we have.
Right. And I will say,
Electricity's gonna be tough.
Right.
It's like,
and those costs wouldn't change. Yeah, they wouldn't change because we're still going to have to order these items.
Well, it seems to me, though, we had a problem in '21, I believe it was, with, something happened to the chemicals and all kinds of fiasco that kept the thing from opening. I can't remember all the details. Maybe you could fill me in. Were you here then or not?
I was here as the special event coordinator, so I did not touch the splash pad, but I've been in the aquatic realm for probably three years before this. So I actually operated a pool then. So it was just, I would say, some internal training that needed to happen that we've gotten done, and we're there. We just need a higher skill set to come in and help us. That we really just need the extra person. And with the splash pad being on, that 18,000 is going to be an add-on of what essentially we already do now. That's just to get another body in here to do it and kind of wiping our hands clean. And like I said, that's going to be the minimum, plus what we already do. So even if we ran the numbers that we do in-house, you could just add that to the 18,000.
What's the lifespan of that, expected lifespan of the splash pad?
It just depends on if you have preventative maintenance to take care of it and if you properly open it and close it at the end of every season. I can move forward, though, and then we can kind of talk about this stuff at the end. I just kind of wanted to share this information with you guys.
All right.
Yeah. So next we have the job duty comparison. So I thought it was really important to show you guys what Public Work does versus our Parks and Recreation maintenance team. So we have a really great relationship with our Public Works Department. I think it's wonderful that we get to collaborate on so many items and work really well together. But at the end of the day, everyone knows where their duties lie. We have one full-time maintenance dedicated to parks and greenways, and then 2 people on the Public Works team dedicated to Public Works issues. So Public Works does everything from roadway projects, the sidewalk repairs, maintenance and installation of those, stormwater projects, town facility maintenance that's non-park, and they also have the contractor oversight versus our Parks and Recreation maintenance team that does the playground maintenance, the park and greenway facilities, splash pad operations, event and farmers market setup and breakdown, as well as that contractor oversight. So what I thought would be helpful to see is actually a map of all the parks and greenways that we currently have and that we're adding on in 2023 for sure. So highlighted in green is what we currently have. We have the Chestnut Green Greenway, which Smith Grounds, we currently outsource that, but that still entails our maintenance team to go out there, check that Smith is doing its job, making sure that there's no vandalism, everything's clean and well kept, as well as Blair Mill Park that has the new addition of the playground as of June, the restroom facilities out there, the 18-hole disc golf course that has multiple trash cans along the way, as well as all the pet waste stations too, because it's dog friendly. And then also next year, the Vickery Greenway will be complete, so that'll be another add-on of them actually having to walk that trail multiple times a week to make sure there's no trash, vandalism, anything going down there that doesn't need to happen, as well as the implementation of some park benches along the trail, pet waste stations. And then lastly, Stallings Municipal Park, we have two tennis courts, we have 2 multi-purpose shelters that get rented out, 4 bathrooms, we have 3 picnic pods in the back, 4 playgrounds there, a band shell. So all these items have to be checked every single day to ensure that they're safe for the public, top quality, nothing's broken on them, and no vandalism. And then lastly, Privet Park will be another addition next year, and that's going to be a whole nother park that needs to be checked every day for the same sort of things. No cracks, everything's safe, no vandalism, and that'll get added on to our maintenance technicians list of duties. So the big picture, I could go on and on about the big benefits of why this transition would be so important for our department. However, I really just wanted to emphasize how important it is for our sustainability as a park and recreation team. Not only would this alleviate, our daily struggles of having someone to help clean the shelters, clean the bathrooms, take care of all the day-to-day tasks, it would also offer that higher skill set that we're missing, that we're relying on other departments for to have it. If we see a problem, we'll be able to fix it as soon as it arises. We'll also be able to address multiple maintenance issues at a lower cost and be able to do that in a timely manner, which is the third, efficiency. That's what's most important. And also just being able to have that expertise of even if there was something that had to get outsourced, we now have this extra maintenance experience that would know if this is something that our town really needs, if our department needs, if our park needs, and still save money there too if these projects still have to be outsource. And lastly, I think this elevated skill would really help our current maintenance department. They just really need that leader, someone that's going to show them, that is going to be on the ground with them every day, that's going to be there, that's going to help them. And just because they might know a little more than what our department does, doesn't mean they're going to stop doing these day-to-day tasks that our park needs to function properly. So I really just want to thank you guys for your time. I know this is just a conversation, and I wanted to give y'all all the information and propose the questions that y'all asked last time. Listen, if y'all have any new questions or concerns. But the big thing is, I'm really requesting either to add this, to another agenda item, because this is going to be a huge piece of how we run our department next year and how we use these assets, what we need to start doing to fix these things that are going on in the park and how to make improvements for the future. So that's all that I ask of you guys tonight, regardless of where y'all stand.
All right, any questions, Stephen?
Just one more.
Yeah.
So the position that is currently open that we've been interviewing for or posted, what was the price that you thought you were going to pay for that position if we could get somebody in?
Well, if we could get someone with, as advertised on the job description, I really thought maybe we could get away with paying them like 45. This might be going deeper into the roots of that. But, asking for this higher skill set, that'll obviously be more so.
Yeah, because the 13 range was, the top end was 57.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. I was just trying to understand what the difference is that we were looking at there. Because for me, this is, I think to some degree, it's the difference between the money, right? To some extent.
It's a component,
Yeah, okay.
All right, any other questions for Eunice or Marcia or Alex, anybody?
I don't have questions. I just
Yes, sir.
May I have a comment? This is odd for me, just for my background in government. This feels like something I would just ask Alex to
Correct.
do. I don't mean we shouldn't be talking about this at a council meeting, but this feels like one of those things I would just trust our manager who we hire to say, if we need this, I'm going to figure it out. So I'm not used to this kind of HR mid-year salary bump coming to the council. That's just my experience. That said, I'm completely fine with Alex saying, I need this position. We should hire it, and trusting the manager and holding the manager accountable, by the way, for the budget. So that's where I generally land. Secondly, and supporting that, there's no way I can figure out how your department works. I don't want to know, frankly. It would hurt my head. I see you as a program lead, creative lead. We ask you to do a farmer's market. You should be spending a lot of your time figuring that out. And I get that you don't do maintenance, and I wouldn't expect you to. And I hear you've got one person who does, who needs help. That's logical. I don't have a problem with that. And I get the skill set gap. So I get the debate, but if, in my opinion, it's up here where high-level policy, we're giving it that kind of look, and I feel like it's down here. So I'm supportive. I would have been supportive at the supervisor rate, frankly. I just wanted what she gave us tonight, which is a justification for the difference. However, I appreciate the thought you gave to it. So I'm happy to vote tonight on it if we've got the support. We probably don't. I don't know that we do. I would then like to put it on the next agenda so you can get moving on doing whatever you need to do. So
Yes, I appreciate that.
again, I don't fault the questions. I get there's a philosophical thing about growing government and spending more money, but
And
I get the need.
part of
here
that
and
is
by
just not that I expect you to, but I don't understand the cost of that thing. What does it cost us? Are we even setting aside enough capital money, reserves, for when it does die and we have to replace
the
it?
splash pad you're talking
Yes.
about. Yeah, again, I don't know the splash pad
Shanamar had to do the
details.
same thing with the pool renovation a couple
Yeah.
years ago in the clubhouse. So that was the point of those questions. What's the total cost
Right.
of this thing?
Yeah, I don't mean your questions aren't right. They are right. I'm just saying from my experience, I just feel differently. Don't disagree, I just feel differently, put it that way.
I get it. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, good point, Brad.
I'm in support if you did want to vote tonight.
I prefer to wait.
Want to wait? Okay.
First, we have two council members not here.
Yeah, we'll put it on the agenda for the 12th.
Okay.
Okay,
But the only, like Dave said, the total cost, we know the total cost in-house is not $390. That's for the certification. So-
correct.
But if you give us an idea of how many hours they spend monitoring it, the whole total cost.
And so I can do that happily. The only thing is it would just be added to both, if that makes sense. Even if this person were to come in and if we were to outsource it and there would be no additional, higher level expertise, both of those line items would just add on what we're currently doing. If we were to outsource the splash pad, we're still doing all the internal things that we're already paying for. That would just be to have a person that checks it once a week. That's what that cost is.
But it would still give me a comparison,
Oh, okay, I can do that.
just an estimate. I mean,
Yeah.
all righty. Well, thank you, Eunice.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Marcia. All right, next up is Aaron, Code of Ordinances, number 13. Let's see, is it?
Just one page.
Yeah, there it is, right there.
This is pretty easy. You guys have adopted, periodically throughout the year, you adopt ordinances. Well, once or twice a year, depending on the number of ordinances that you adopt, we have to send it off to get it codified. And we use American Legal Publishing, which actually put it in our code book. That just puts all the ordinances in one book for you together. This is just an ordinance that says, yes, we put them in there, and yes, this is our latest book edition.
So moved.
Yep, well, let me read it. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. Can I get a motion on an ordinance adopting the codified Code of Ordinances with Supplement 13?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Shoal.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ayers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. All right, Potter, Pleasant Plains, P3. Alex. Nobody's here.
They've all called me now. They have called me, yeah.
All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you for the time to talk with you about the Potter Pleasant Plains intersection project. Before you tonight, ultimately what I'm going to ask you for is to approve the first of two supplemental agreements that will allow us to meet the board's goal of turning over this project back to the North Carolina Department of Transportation. So, quick background, it's been a little bit since we've talked about it formally at a council meeting. But we were caught in this cycle with the town wanting to kind of expedite this project where costs would increase over time. We would come up with a way to kind of fill that gap, and then costs would, in the meantime, increase again. We try to fill that gap. So it was really a vicious cycle, especially given real estate prices and the pandemic and all the supply chain issues. So the board has authorized staff to talk with DOT, which we've done, and DOT has expressed a desire to transfer the project or to take over the project from the town. So long story short, in order to do this, there are two primary agreements that we need to enter into with NCDOT. Both will not be at the same time. The first one that's on the agenda tonight is a supplemental agreement to close out the right-of-way phase of the project. The original agreement that the town entered into with DOT back in the 2014 range has expired. And a new one needs to be executed in order to continue on, close out the right-of-way phase, and also at the same time so the town can get reimbursed for some of the outstanding reimbursement items related to the utility right-of-way movements back in payment to us. So next, if that's approved tonight, it will take a couple months probably, maybe as short as a month. It depends on how fast the state moves. It'll have to go to the Board of Transportation in Raleigh for them to approve it. And you've got to get on their schedule. Everything's got to go through their process to get there. And with Christmas time coming up, you never know how that can slow things down. But we're probably looking January, February. Once that's approved, we'd be able to come back to the board in that time frame with a construction agreement, which would more formally turn over the full control to NCDOT. And then we would kind of walk away at that point after we made all the payments under those agreements. So recognizing there will likely be more discussion, again, the requested action for tonight would be just to improve the enclosed supplemental agreement with DOT and give staff that direction, that assurance that, yes, we are continuing to move in the right direction of turning over this project back to NCDOT. That's kind of it in a nutshell. I've got the spreadsheet that we can look at all the numbers if that would make the board feel more comfortable and educated in making a decision tonight.
To go through it.
Sure.
Yeah, because maybe the simpler one is the one in the agreement.
That's a great idea, Mayor. I'll go to that, and as the mayor indicated, here is the revised funding table. Again, this is just for the right-of-way phase. So when we say right-of-way, it includes utility movements as well. So these first two items right here, the 882,500 and the 1.6 million, those are the original funding amounts. Okay, so that has continued into today. That funding's still there. This one is the 2.197,600. That's the money we got from Carpo, and that y'all remember certainly that journey together on that. What's not shown is the $1.6 million we received in state equivalent funds that we've been able to kind of free up using the property purchase next door in order to free up equivalent funds that it could be put towards this project. So that's probably a great start.
Yeah, the number I talked with Alex about, I wanted to put on record is that non-federal match number, that's Stallings tax money. That we've spent $949,000 of our own money on this project, and we budgeted 400,000 back in, what was it, 2015, 13? I can't remember what it was. So, that's a lot of money for a road that a lot of our Stallings residents don't even use. So I just want everybody to be aware of that it's on the record that the town of Stallings is contributing almost $1 million to this project. Plus, and Alex's other, it might be more. I'll let Alex, get to that when he.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Happy to get in that. Are there any other questions or comments before we go into more of a deep dive? Okay, great.
One quick question. Have we already spent that $1 million? Or is it?
Yes, let's get into that. Great question. Hold that thought.
Okay.
So again, going into the project summary here, and happy to kind of send this. Here's the original funding. We saw that 825, 1.6 million. We got an additional little bit of money related. The DOT had freed up from another project, which was the difference between the 883 and change and the 825 there. Long story short, here's a lot of the money that we've paid or incurred otherwise. We'll go to the next tab, which I think does a good summary. We've got all the construction estimates and things that are outstanding. There's a number of betterments that are coming in, water and sewer upgrades, landscaping and design, and mast arm upgrades. And then finally, this is kind of more of a summary page before we go to the big picture summary. A couple things to note. Here's the original amount that we had in funding available, and we've already been reimbursed this amount, 1.215505 and 5 cents. And so here is the remaining funding balance we have left at 1.140905. And then here's another thing, just to complicate it a little bit. We've got a separate agreement with the county that they're going to pay for a number of the utility upgrades. It's part of their system that we agreed to many years ago. And so I've already gotten the county and DOT in touch. They're going to have to enter into a separate agreement. So, Councilmember Ayers, to get back to your question, how much have we spent to date? This is the amount that we spent to date, $2,069,228.59. That doesn't include the DOT oversight costs and the accompanying charges that come with that. They said they can't give me a totally exact number right now, but I suspect it'll be likely in the $200,000 number. So it'll probably be in the 200,000s to the 300,000s number in there, and that cost will be reimbursable according to the grant. So if you look at the amount that we've paid out thus far, and I'll zoom this in a little bit, because if you're like me, you probably won't be able to see it that well. Again, this is the money we spent. This is the amount that we've paid, been reimbursed net to date. So that's taking the amount we paid minus the amount of the reimbursement we received. And so that gives you approximately $854,000. So we've still got some amounts that we've already spent that are eligible for reimbursement, we believe. So that's the $290,000. That's mainly the Duke utility movement costs. We had that invoicing issue. Appreciate the board's help with that. So I've already submitted those reimbursement requests, but if we approve the agreement tonight, that'll allow us to get back an 80% reimbursement in the future in that amount, that $232,000. So does that answer your question, Councilmember Ayers? If not, I can try again.
So did you say the 200 to 300,000 is likely reimbursable, or maybe?
That is reimbursable, yes, sir. So that'll be at 80% based on the project summary here.
So we don't need to send a letter to Mr. Art. and Mr.
Yeah,
Johnson.
at least the majority of that 80% will be reimbursable.
Thank you.
So from here, there's a couple things that are outstanding. My goal is to try to get the town to pay as little as possible while getting the project done. Not trying to skirt responsibility, I'm just trying to, protect taxpayer resources here. And what I mean by that is there's some outstanding questions. We've got $1.6 million we're going to, the council said, yes, we'll put this into the project. That's the equivalent funds we got from the state. And so I'd like to see if we could take some of that money and count it towards our 20% share. And also some of the costs that we've already spent that weren't reimbursable initially. So for example, one of the big costs that we've paid, but it's not reimbursable under the current agreements, the design costs, all the engineering and design costs that we've had here. You'll see here it's approximately $437,000. So, when you're looking at numbers that are like this, it's a drop in the bucket, but we're still talking about $437,000, right? It's a lot of money. So I'm going to try to see if we could get some, if not all of that back. But that's not something that if push came to shove, we'd be able to probably get back because we've already agreed to pay for that. So I'm going to try to cap those costs as much as we possibly can, and certainly the board will come back and share those costs, and the board would approve anything moving forward after this.
Can you go down to line 68?
Of course.
For me, please?
68.
It said, total out-of-pocket, projected, potential estimated out-of-pocket, 1.4. Is that with all the, that includes the 800 and change that we've already spent?
That does. I don't believe that, let me see this. I don't believe that takes into account sorry, Excel's not as, I don't believe that only accounts for reimbursable costs, things that we know are eligible for reimbursement. It wouldn't count, my understanding looking at this would be things like engineering, that design number, things that were the town's responsibility in the outset when this was all agreed to back in the 2014 range.
So the 1.4 is the top end of what could be out of pocket, but others?
Plus non-reimbursable costs, is my understanding.
All right, gotcha. So let the record show to anybody that's listening is we spent more than $1 million.
So, just to clarify, does that out-of-pocket expense include the 1.6 million or not?
This is just, it does. Yeah.
So,
That's after you spend the 1.6. We're still out of pocket, $1.4 million, something like that.
$1.4 million.
And after you appropriate the CARTPO grant. Right, I know this is confusing, but so after all the sources that the mayor was able to get, Linda was able to get, we're net out of pocket about $1.5 million plus some non-reimbursables that are yet to be determined. Imagine what it would have been if you hadn't gone to Raleigh and Linda hadn't gotten the CARTPO grant. It'd have been a lot of money. A lot more money.
CARTPO was big, 2.1, yeah.
Yeah.
All righty. Any questions for Alex? Thank you for the details.
Yes, sir, appreciate it.
So, any discussion among council? Or what's the pleasure of the council? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have, my understanding based off of our discussion earlier today is that the final numbers would be in the second approval document that's coming up. Okay, and when we look at that, will that be that'll have I want to say the mystery taken out of it to some
That's
extent.
right. That's exactly right. Because we're dealing with estimates right now. Once we finalize the right-of-way numbers, get all the oversight, a lot of the numbers, I don't want to use the word cleaned up because these are good, valid numbers, but they'll be more definite. You go from the estimate realm to really identifying what our cost commitment is going to be, period.
Any other questions, comments?
I don't have anything for this one, but I think the next one's going to be the dog, so to speak.
Okay. Well, can I get a motion on the council, staff's request for approval of the enclosed supplemental agreement with NCDOT and direct staff to continue working towards turning over the Potter Pleasant Plains intersection project U5112 to NCDOT?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Scholl, second by Mr. Ayers. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. All right.
All right, thank you.
Al.
So
Thank
next
you, Al.
steps, we'll submit this to DOT. And then I think in the January, February timeframe, we'll come back with an updated agreement that has the construction costs nailed down in there. Legal and myself have already reviewed that agreement, and the terms are good. We just need to nail down those costs. And we're still on track, per my last conversation and feedback I've gotten from DOT, for them to let this late spring, early summer. Thank you.
A couple more questions. Okay. So I guess one of the things since I've been on the council is that the dates of DOT kind of are willy-nilly. I mean, do we, in that second contract, I mean, if we're talking money, do we get any guarantees that they're going to do the work within a certain time frame? And is there parts of that, I mean, most construction contracts that I'm familiar with has a clause that if you miss the date, there's a penalty associated with it. Is there anything like that there that comes up?
You know, that's a good question, Councilmember Ayers. I don't recall off the top of my head, but that's something we can definitely look at and clarify. Typically with DOT and doing work on their own state roads, I don't think that's typically something that they would agree to. But it's something we could look into potentially, that just because we haven't done it in the past doesn't mean it's something we can't include. I know there's a desire by all to get this done as quickly as possible.
Well, my concern is that if we don't have something in there that guarantees it, then the money doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Because just as we've talked about here, as soon as it goes out the door, those numbers can change depending on how it happens. So in my mind, money and the time frame that it gets done in are closely related. So in my mind, if this contract that we sign or look to sign in February, I mean, I think there needs to be something in there, if possible, that says, hey, you know, you're giving us some guarantee. If we're giving you this chunk of change, that you're doing the work.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want it to be a revolving door to allow them to do anything. That's just my thought.
Right. No, I get it. Aaron, can you make a note of that, and we'll look into that as we get deeper and closer and close out the right of way. I appreciate that feedback.
All right, any other comments? All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alex, before we adjourn, I know it's not on the agenda, but I'll just make it in the comments. Your report on your staff report, the Idlewild and Stevens Mill project, Idlewild project, the one that's at the corner of Stevens Mill and Idlewild, can we put that on the agenda for December 12th?
Sure.
I know it's less than 25 acres, it's administrative, but, you know, we need to know what's going on at that corner in detail.
Which corner?
Yeah, the Idlewild, Stevens Mill corner, our corner. Yeah, so it affects, you know, Heather, Ram, me and you. So yeah, if we can just put it on the agenda for 12th and get us up to speed so we can be prepared when the phone starts ringing.
Sure. I think, just off the top of my head, and Mr. Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they're in the TIA process currently. And we can get all that information together and do it as a staff report. That works?
Yeah.
Perfect.
All righty. Anybody have anything?
A reminder, Eunice,
Yeah, Christmas
What-
in the
what hap-
park.
yeah, there you
This
go.
weekend on Saturday. Yep.
Christmas in the Park Saturday, hope
Saturday.
you're all there.
Yeah.
3 to 6, so it'll be really good. It's supposed to be nice weather, so send out good vibes.
All right. Well, thank y'all for your work on that.
I did want to note that we've learned that there are no findings in the audit this year. So the controls we put in place are really working. So I want to credit Ms. Gross, the finance team, and everybody that worked in that. So that's good news. That'll be presenting next time.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
All right. Motion by Ms. Groom, second by Mr. Shoal. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah, Melissa called me today. Dan's gonna be there.